What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to Maps Exposed, the series where I cover all the lines of sight, jumps, and spots that I know of on every map in Advanced Warfare. In today's episode, we're going to be covering the map Defender. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so let's start it off at the A flag, and the first one I have is a pretty amazing line of sight that I've never seen anybody use before. And that is if enemies are coming up right around that corner right there. It's very common that you'll see enemies come around that corner, and sometimes they'll even stand right in that spot that I was just aiming at. If you're all the way back here, a lot of times you'll spawn back at the A flag and they're trying to pin you into that A spawn. You position yourself just right, you can see through this crack right here. And I'm going to shoot the wall, and I'll show you exactly where I'm shooting here. Actually, I'll see if I can get some footage with the one boom so you can get a line of sight on them. But basically, this crack right here will allow you to see them. If you crouch, you can see their upper body. You stand up, you see their lower body. And I'll just show you where that bullet hit real quick. Since actually I probably won't have time to get the one boom to help me with this one. So this is where you'll hit right here. So as they're coming around this corner right here, there's no way they're going to be able to see you through that little crack over there. And you'll be able to pick them off with a sniper rifle very, very easily. So this is one of the best spots in the game. Now, a very common occurrence is people will spawn right back here when they hold the A flag, and they come around this corner like this, and they're actually pretty powerful when they're up here in a lot of cases. They've got good cover looking downwards over there, and they've got the height advantage if you're down in this area here. A nice place to counter them that I like to use anyways, a lot of people will just jump straight on this roof here, which isn't bad, but what I like to do is jump right on top of this crate here and edge my way over to the left. And if you stand up, you get a really nice head glitch over towards them. They can only really see your head in this particular situation, and if you crouch, you're completely hidden from them. So you have a very, very clear advantage against them, and you're not exposing yourself to the rest of the map like you would be from up here. Now, from this rooftop right here, this is a very common spot that people use to basically lock down that area over there. And I have a great line of sight to counter these people if you are coming from this direction over by the C flag. So if you're all the way back in this area right here, if you jump right on top of this, you're exposing yourself way too much. You can obviously see them, but you're exposing yourself a lot. Instead, if you just mantle up right here, crouch, you're completely hidden if you're crouched. Stand up, you get a perfect line of sight on them right there. So that's a great way to counter those people or just check for them before moving on towards the A flag. Now, right next to that spot, this may be obvious to some people, but not to everybody, so I'll point it out anyway. You can actually get a nice line of sight over towards the B flag from right up here. So this works best with a sniper rifle or a long-range assault rifle, but it could also work with basically just checking the B flag to see if anybody's there or see where they are on the B flag. But you can get a very clear line of sight, and you can easily pick them off through there as long as you can see them. You can't quite see the entire capture area, but you do see a pretty good portion of it. Now at the C flag, I'm going to show you a capture spot right here. This is where most people will capture from, and it is one of the best spots to capture from because typically your enemy's coming from down there because that's where their spawn will be if they did hold C just recently. And also you can capture from right here. Right here isn't really ideal. You are pretty exposed up here, but sometimes they just don't expect it, so it gives you that half second of advantage. And also I wanted to point out a little line of sight. If you back off a little bit here, you can lay down and you get a nice line of sight through there. You're pretty much invisible to them. Very, very difficult to see. They'd really have to be looking for you to see you through there, and you can pick them off through there, no problem. Now, right underground here, this is a very common spot that people will sit to sort of lock you in those back spawns. It's a very, very common head glitch or piece of cover that people will use. And if you do spawn back here, you don't have much of a chance if you try to come around this corner and challenge them because you have no cover and they have great cover. So instead, I like to just hop up on top of this right here. If you're crouched, you're hidden. You stand up, you get a nice line of sight on them. Now this is a somewhat fair gunfight because, I don't know, you have about the same amount of cover, but it's a little bit in your favor because you have that option to crouch and get out of the way, and they have to lay down completely to get out of the way, which takes longer, and even then you can still kind of see them underneath there, so you definitely have the advantage in this case. Alright, so on top of the rooftop here by C, I just wanted to point out a spot that I see some people camping in, and that is right up here. It looks like you can't get there, but you actually can, but just by like jumping and then you boost slam over. Oh, I actually missed it. But there is a little invisible ledge there. I don't usually like to show you glitches, and I would consider that to be a glitch, but it's more of just a spot that I wanted to show you so you can keep an eye out for people that are up there. And honestly, it's not very useful to be there in the first place, so I wouldn't recommend using it. Now, if your enemies are spawning towards the C flag area there, and you're up in this area right here, a lot of times people will stand right here trying to get lines of sight in towards their spawn, and they kind of expose themselves to way too many places that they don't need to be exposing themselves to. Instead, I like to jump up right here on this ledge like this, and look at that. You get a great line of sight over to their flag. You can easily strafe behind cover. You have pretty good cover around here, and not many people expect this. Actually, pretty much nobody expects this spot. So I find it's a really great spot for challenging those people as they come out of that spawn. Just keep in mind, you will likely flip that spawn shortly after using this spot. So it does get a nice line of sight, but it also blocks spawns off back there. And also, this can be used to challenge people that end up coming towards that rooftop right over there. So you can basically lock that down, and then you can come up, check up here, and then back down here. And it's a great way to lock this area down. It's much better than just standing out in the open like this. Now, right by the B flag, just an area I wanted to point out that still a lot of people don't know about, it's kind of surprising, is this little room in here. It's not a very useful room. The only thing I could really see it being used for is like search and destroy or infected or something like that. Or if you want to lock down the B flag and you want to like lob nades, you can shoot nades right through here. It'll just bounce right through this crack and it'll blow up anybody on the B flag. So it's pretty effective for that. But then other than that, you're kind of just a sitting duck down here. It's kind of useless. You can also get into here through this tube. Before the tsunami comes in, there isn't all this water and you can basically just crouch and walk through this pipe. But with the water, you have to swim all the way through. I'll just quickly show you the other side of the pipe so I don't have to swim all the way through. This is the other end of the pipe, so you can swim through that way if you want to get into that room as well. Oh, now I'm getting stuck. Now, if you're coming from the C flag area and your enemies are spawning back in that corner, which is very, very common, most people, I just see them like up here trying to challenge them. They're not using any cover, and this is a really underutilized spot, and that is right here. You can stand up. Right now I'm standing, and if you crouch, you're completely hidden. You have a great line of sight on anybody that jumps up there. You just have to make sure that your back is safe, because somebody could very easily jump up here, come around the corner, and pick you off. Now, this next spot is a little bit ridiculous. I was hesitant to show you this, but I thought about it, and I'm going to show it to you anyways, because I do consider it to be a pretty nasty head glitch, but it's only good for challenging people that are in that spot right there, which I consider to be kind of a power position or a spot where people will camp in. So I find it's just a simple counter. It's not a really overpowered spot that's going to get you a million kills in a game. It's just going to pick that one guy off that really big power position right there very, very easily. So all you have to do is jump up right on top of this area right here, this little slope here. If you crouch and slide right down like this, you are literally invisible to him. Like, I'll show you my view on the one boom using this spot. He literally cannot see you at all. You're invisible. And yet you can still pick him off very easily. So this is a very, very powerful position to challenge those people. It's not so great for anyone else, like challenging anyone else. Maybe I guess it could be used over here. In this case, you're not completely invisible. You just got a nice piece of cover. So I guess it's a useful spot to use against them, but it's a very, very very powerful spot to use against those people up there. So another thing that I wanted to point out is if the enemy uses the laser air defense system, I believe that's what it's called. It's this system on the map. It's the map-specific score streak. If they're using that, there's actually a very easy way to counter it and shut it down completely. All you have to do is come all the way back here to this area, and there's this little control panel here. It says emergency shutoff on it. All you have to do is hold the X button on Xbox, and I think it's square on PS4 or PS3. And it will actually shut down that score streak. It's pretty cool. A lot of people don't know that this is there, and it's pretty effective for shutting that streak down. Now, right over by the A flag here, just a check spot that I like to use to see if anybody's camping on top of that building there. If I'm in this building and I want to go in that direction, just a nice little check spot is to jump up like this, and you can see that entire rooftop. You have just a quick peek. If you see somebody's head glitching on there, it's not worth coming around this corner, and they'll likely take you out, and you might want to try a different approach like coming all the way around this way because you get a better angle on them. One more thing I wanted to point out on this map, I don't know if this works on previous gen versions. I've heard rumors that this doesn't work, but I could be mistaken. These chains here, when you run into them, they swing and they also make a noise. So this is really effective in search and destroy. If people are coming through here and they bang these chains, you can very easily hear them. If you're like on the rooftop here, or if you're over somewhere around here, you can easily hear them coming. And it's a pretty useful thing to use for sound cues. And also on the other end of that, if you're playing search and destroy, you might want to just take the wide way around and not run into those chains. There's more of those chains in the building over by the C flag as well. Alright, so finally I have one last spot to show you here. This one's kind of obvious to some. It's not like some super secret spot, but some people might not really know it exists. All you do is come up on the shipping container, and there you go. You get a nice line of sight over towards that hill and that area there, which is really common for enemies to be jumping up onto. And they're looking towards the B flag almost all the time if you're playing domination. So this is just a great way to take them by surprise. So that's going to wrap it up for today's episode of Maps Exposed. We have one more map to cover, and that is Ascend, so that will be the next episode, and then from then on, it'll basically just be DLC maps. So if you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.